All right, good morning, friends. Welcome to those who are just joining us. It is a beautiful spring day here in Alpine, Utah. Hopefully you're finding beauty no matter where you are. I see friends calling in from Orlando, Montana. So welcome. Welcome all. I wanted to start out with a question. Which doTERRA product um, first made you a believer? We posted that in our social media this week, on our Share Success social media. And we got so many great comments. So fun to watch those comments just stream in. But I wanted to find out from you here, which was the product that first made you a believer? Or products, could be multiple. I just love that conversation. It's so yummy. All right, Tracy says on guard. Cindy says past tense. Florence says LLV. Ronald says digestion and oregano. So fun. Lisa says breathe. Awesome. Ruth, tea tree and oregano. Isn't that a fun thought question? It just takes me back to those early days. You know, I was such a skeptic when Natalie started playing around with oils and oh my goodness, I was such a skeptic, and it was helichrysum for me. So Ben was 3 at the time. He's our third child. Jumps up on the counter to drink straight out of the faucet, right? Who needs a cup when you're 3? Skip all that nonsense. Having to get in a cupboard and mess with the cup afterwards. He's drinking out of the faucet, but he's leaning leaning on the faucet with all of his weight. The faucet breaks off. He falls and he bangs his head on the metal stub that's left. And what normally would have turned into a huge old, swelling goose egg. I remember Natalie saying helichrysum is amazing for things like that. So I ran and got the helichrysum. First, I disinfected with lavender, and the helichrysum stopped the bleeding, and it kept the swelling down. And I was a believer. Before that moment, I was a total skeptic, but after that, I was a 100% believer. So, so fun to think back 15 years ago, almost 16 now, that I had my first experience. So loving the comments coming through. Peppermint, love it for smell. Smelled like chocolate to me. I love that. Cass says breathe, and Katie says Frank. So good. Yes. Oh, what a journey, right? What an amazing, precious gift we have from the earth. And I love to celebrate Earth Day on Monday and just think about how abundantly the earth provides for us. We were looking at buying a farm a couple months ago, just a small little piece of land to turn into a farm, probably more accurately. And as I was thinking about, I've been studying a lot of regenerative farming. How many of you have looked into that? And I've just been blown away at how beautifully the earth gives us everything we need. Like if we work with the earth, if we work with, healthy composting, and letting the plants run their course, and just avoiding the chemicals, it's so beautiful how all the sunshine, all the rain, and what's cool with regenerative farming is how if you focus on creating healthy soil, then the soil doesn't need as much water. You can literally water your plants for like 5 minutes a day, and you can have scorching sun, and your plants are going to thrive. It's so cool. Yes, it's similar to permaculture, but this is, yeah, it's very similar. So, yeah, it's so incredible. The earth is so good to us. And if we're just, you know, respectful of Mother Earth, it's amazing how well it takes care of us. So, so fun. So fun to think about that. All right. I wanted to give another quick update. Natalie and I spent 2 hours meeting with Kirk Jowers one-on-one yesterday. And a couple weeks before that, I met with Murray Smith. So Kirk is the CEO, Murray Smith is the president. And can I just tell you how confident we are in the hands that doTERRA is in? I am just, oh, so grateful. Like the owners have had so much foresight to, yeah, to just prepare all the right people and train them and transfer their vision and their culture. And we are just so blessed, so grateful for the owners and now for this new management team. Um, it's never looked better as I look to the future and what we have coming down the pipeline. I'm just blown away by, yeah, like all of Kirk's preparation, all of Murray's life training. Murray has basically been with the company since its inception. He is one of the longest standing employees that we've had. I think he's been with the company 14 years. And so he and his wife are just longtime believers. They know the company, they know the culture, and we're just in good, solid hands. So grateful. There's a lot of things we can't share, but what I can share is the ship is, we have a good captain, we have a solid ship. The financial footings of the company have never been better, and there's just so much. Yeah, just so much to be grateful for. Good morning, friend.
Hi.
How are you today?
Wow. I mean, we're good. It's just
Good,
been
good.
yeah. Hello, good
Yeah,
morning.
I've been talking about regenerative farming and meetings with Kirk and Murray. So Natalie and I had a 2 hour meeting with Kirk Jowers yesterday, the new CEO.
Yes. Was that just
Oh, good.
so good and comforting? Like
Oh my
so
goodness.
such good things about him and his family are just they're just so
Yeah.
well known for
Yep. And
goodness. So
he's a big U fan, so
go Utes,
go
guys.
Utes.
Go Utes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Ah,
Good
so
morning, everyone, or afternoon, based on what time zone you're in or when you're catching this.
I also asked the question earlier, Tiff, what was the first doTERRA product that made you a believer?
Mm-hmm.
And that was super fun to watch all the comments roll in.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So,
curious. I know you probably already covered this. What was yours?
so mine was helichrysum.
Mm,
Had a cool experience with Ben where he should have had a big, big old goose egg from a head injury and, would have been, profuse of bleeding, but helichrysum to the rescue.
helichrysum.
Yep.
Oh,
So that-
good.
that's my hero product. How about
Hmm.
for you?
Well, that's hard to pick just one because it was kind of like, getting connected to a few of them all at once. But I would say a few of mine, of course, I love the citrus oils right out of the gate. Your lemon and wild orange, and then citrus bliss was like my first bestie. Like the first oil I think I had a crush on was citrus bliss.
Mm,
I really fell in love with balance and of course on guard oil,
mm,
right? And I would say the first few oils that I felt like I saw a physical body reaction to that helped support me would be on guard and then digest zen, right?
mm,
Where I literally felt like, oh, my body is responding in a such positive way, being supported. But Yeah, I love balance oil, you guys. Like, oh,
Mhm.
and of course, we always love, like, if I could only pick one oil out of all of them, it's going to be frankincense. But balance for me is another like close second or third, where I just love how grounding that oil has been. And I've used it
Mhm.
for years, right? It's been part of my backstage prep, get ready to go on ritual where I say a certain prayer and put some balance oil on the bottoms of my feet and back of my neck and inhale it and just get centered and grounded. And it's like another ride or die. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh man, we're so perfectly supported, aren't we?
yes, that is the truth.
That's
That
incredible.
is the truth. So how can we serve and support y'all today? I know last week I just felt, we were quite, on the Andy and Tiff show and so many funny things happening at the same time. I will tell you, because last week we heard about me with the squirrels and how that was really on my present. Well, on Monday, you guys being Earth Day, which I really, appreciate that. I've lived in the home I'm in now for almost 15 years. Think about that. That's a decent amount of time, right?
Wow.
15 years. And my home does back up to like I have this backyard, and then beyond the backyard, it kind of is this little bit of wildernessy area. My buck, one of the bucks and deer have returned, which I love. But I mean, I'm sure there's been gardener snakes around a lot, but I've never seen one in 15 years. And on Monday, in the midst of some things, I like walk right outside, and there is a huge snake by my
Mm.
back door. You guys, huge snake. Now, snakes have a lot of beautiful spiritual symbolism. I'm aware of that. I love that. But I was creeped, creeped, like screamed so loud. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so freaked. You guys, it was so spooky. And again, it's a
Uh,
lot of change that's up for me in this season. I don't know if the rest of you can relate to that. And the snake represents like the snake is a little critter that can fully shed its body and still be alive, right? And it's
mm.
often snake in the, shamanic or spiritual meaning is like, what do you need to release, let go of? What do you need to shed in your life? And it was this very cool timing when it was there on a spiritual level, but physically, my human self was freaked out. And I'm on the phone
Wow.
with Brett and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, well, you can get a shovel and you can kill it. I'm like, I'm killing it. Like, that thing is going to try to launch at me or come after me. But anyway, it skedaddled out of the yard. I just kind of kept, and it wasn't a poisonous snake, but man, talk about being creeped out. So this is
Oh,
latest with the animal world, how things are
we,
showing up. Squirrels showed up the week before with some very present message, and there
that's
was
awesome.
a snake on my path. So
Wow.
yeah,
We're glad you're perfectly supported, Tiff.
I am perfectly supported. Yes, this is true.
Uh, so raise your hand. We would love to bring you on live and respond to any blocks, any questions, any thoughts, talk through goals. We are just here to serve and support. And yeah, I mean, we could talk animals. Um,
No, let's not.
your story prompted about 3 stories for me. But we really want to serve you and support you. So raise your hand if you don't want to hear snake stories all day.
Yeah, this isn't the Discovery Channel, right? But where you live up in the mountains, you're going to have all kinds of that stuff, by the way. I mean,
Yeah, we found out after buying the property and breaking ground that this is a rattlesnake haven.
no,
So there have been 6 rattlesnakes sighted on our property, and
no, just no.
so it's like it's a regular thing. Not, not. I mean, we see gardener snakes all the time, and other types.
Mm-mm.
Rattles, it's a little bit different. It's different.
Yeah, you're going to need more than an essential oil to help you with one of those. So just saying.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay, then.
So
I mean,
raise
can
your
you put
hand.
out traps for them? I mean, come on. I'm not
So
coming over
there are
again
these
yet. ever. I'm not coming to the house again. You just said that, unless I'm like in a full body protective suit.
I can see Brett like carrying
Mhm.
you from the car into the house every
Mhm.
time you come now.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, but we really would love to help serve and support you. We are in the very last week of April, my loves, and next
Yes.
Wednesday we'll be meeting is Wednesday, May 1st. I really want you to be there, and I want you to invite teams or friends, family. They can be active in doTERRA, they don't have to be, but bring them to this session because we're going to do some creation work together and get really intentional for May, as well as kind of give you some vision to be thinking about for summer, right? And ways that you can be nourishing your team, gathering your team, growing your team in the summer months, and ways that you can create connection. So we're going to have a really rich, intentional session next Wednesday, May 1st. And so know that that's happening, but whatever's up for you. Oh, it looks like our girl Ruth. I'm so excited to hear from you. And look at those beautiful
Yes.
flowers behind you. But mark your calendars for next Wednesday. Plan to be there. So looking forward to that.
Welcome, Ruth. How are you today?
Good, good. Thank you.
Good.
I do love being here. You guys feed us richly every time. I appreciate it. I would love some mindset help. I recently I was going back through the divine law of compensation, and she talks about how sometimes we say, yes, I want money. Oh, maybe I don't. Well, should I? And go through that process that is not giving a clear signal to the universe. And that was exactly, I mean, she described me where yes, no, and I want to do all these good things with it. And well, maybe that's not important, just the back and forth. So that has been on my mind a little. And I know we already had some really great tips about that recently, as far as our thermostat and what we're comfortable with, and the big leap, that glass ceiling. So just a little coaching. Andy also mentioned that about Alpine and the anyway, the SUVs. So any coaching on, Andy, how did you get from that? I mean, you've obviously had that transition and you told us about it, but what are the things that I could do or any of us can do to expand in that way, to be more truly ready at a deeper level to receive more and do good with it?
Tiff, do you want to speak to the big leap topic, and then I'll speak to the money blocks and
And we
all
can
that
bring this
business?
up at any time. So Ruth, if you're like, I know we've covered this, it's like we can bring this up as many times because it's kind of like, oh, these are muscles that we're strength training, right? And so we don't just do it one time, we do it again and again and again. And I just a couple of thoughts similar like Andy's modeled. Truly, I love the language. I am perfectly supported. That's been a really potent affirmation for him and Natalie for years and years. But several others, things like I am an abundant woman. I'm a wealthy woman, right? I love the word wealth. And you look at wealth as a water word, wealth comes from water. And you think about sitting at the ocean, on the beach and watching the waves come in. And what happens after one wave comes in? Well, another one comes in and another one. And wealth, like you can look at it, wealthy, Wellthy. We write it down that way, wealthy. And it's like, I have a deep well. You're a very rich, wisdom-filled woman. And you think about, so first and foremost, we practice tuning into the abundance that is already around us, right? Like I want all of you, and sometimes we call that gratitude journaling or gratitude listing. I do that every day in my creation journal. But the potency of like all the things that are already rich and abundant, like I look at the nature that's behind you, and that's what I'm seeing is like you are just held in so much abundance. And you go, oh, okay, I am an abundant woman. So it's not like I think we start training yourself and your brain now to become conscious that you're already abundant, you're already wealthy, you already have riches in the various ways that word applies. Because sometimes, again, part of you guys, what I'm about to say is actually like an $18 million gem, even though it will sound pretty basic. And what I'm about, this concept is often to be able to receive something new into our lives, our nervous system has to be able to hold it. Therefore, one of the ways we condition a nervous system to receive what we might call manifestation is that it's familiar to you. Because when something feels so outside our comfort zone, thermostat, so different, so big and change and so forth, our nervous system's like, oh my gosh, versus the more you script, you are already a wealthy woman. I'm an abundant woman. I'm a rich woman. I'm wealthy. And I'm perfectly supported and abundance surrounds me. And more than just nice, motivational, fluffy hype talk, we really start to anchor that into our nervous system. And even one of my favorite affirmations is I allow myself to receive. I allow myself to receive. And many times over the years, coaching different people, achieving different ranks in doTERRA, one of my favorite things to say to my coaching clients as they saw the diamond and blue diamond, presidential, and these, things that they had very intentionally hired me to help them achieve and like that they were working towards, is my compliment to them when they would send me the screenshot of their back office, when they would send me the text, hey, this is happening, or it's happened, here's the image of that happening. I would simply say, it's so nice to see the outside match the inside. Because we were already working, they were already being and becoming diamond, blue, presidential. They already were the vivacious woman or man. They were already the potent leader. And they were already acting like they were a diamond on the inside to then create a match for their outside. But we're all playing a match game in the universe. We live in a frequency-based universe, vibrational universe, frequency universe. My husband in the last year has bought us this Healy device. I don't know if any of you have a Healy. I love it, but it's a frequency device, right? It's a tuning of helping you with your frequency and alignment and so forth. But the point being is like how we speak, how we think, but practicing right now today is I allow myself to receive. And I'm showing up and adding value and receiving the value. And I'm already this generous, abundant, wealthy woman. And we practice that. And so just give yourself grace, love, because these are muscles I still get to practice. But giving yourself permission, and the more that you can think about it at like a 3rd grade level, which is just like, oh, what fun. I mean, I personally think it's fun to have more money coming in than less. And that's all relative and subjective to what that number is. But it's like, oh, what fun. And I can play more with it. I can serve more with it. I can save more. I can, donate more. I'm just in a position, all money does is give you more access. That's it. Money is not good. It is not evil. It is neutral, just like water. That's why, again, we're back to water words, is when you study the word abundance and wealth, they come literally, they're what they call, when you look at the core structure of those words, where they come from, they have a water significance. Well, water is neutral. Water can be very life-giving and life force. Water can also be lethal, like in a tsunami, or water that stagnates and clogs up can become with bacteria and issues like that. But the water, guys, is so neutral. It's the intention behind it. But I really love having water in my life. And again, it's just like, oh, and the more that we can come to a 3rd grade mindset over versus like, is this okay? Not okay. I'm this, it's that. It's like, well, why don't we just bring more in and see how you like it? And if you don't like it, Ruth, if you don't like having more money around, you can always shut the nozzle off. Yeah. So just things, but again, I want to just reinforce that we practice, because there's times I'm in fear with money, and there's often I'm in trust. Sometimes I'm in joy, but I practice and I get to lift the weights too of who do I choose to be and what's the mindset I choose. But yeah, Andy, if you want to share too, like she's asking, how did you go from like, hey, people who live in Alpine and drive SUVs are bad and they're they're selfish and they're like terrible people to like, hey, I live there. And I know that did not happen, I think important to note, obviously overnight. That was years in the making and it took time
Totally.
and practice. But you guys want, again, what I was telling you is so critical is how do you condition your nervous system to receive? And at some level, you build the inner muscles where it becomes more familiar. You're used to the love, you're used to the attention, you're used to the things that are happening and you're conditioning yourself to receive it.
Totally. I love that. I love that image of money being like water, you know, like there's no effort in water.
It
It
just
just flows. It just is. And yeah, like if we want to get completely immersed by a river, it's as simple as walking down into it, you know, just getting into that flow. And there's a cool visualization that one of our coaches actually did for us. Because as our doTERRA team grew, our income started to grow quite quickly. But we didn't have anything to show for it. We were spending at least as fast as we were receiving. And we were talking to our coach one week, and we were like, I don't think this is how it's supposed to be. Like I thought there was supposed to be some, you know, some fruits to show for it. And she took us through this visualization, and I invite each of you to close your eyes and go there with me. So imagine, like, visualize your house or your apartment, wherever you live. Just visualize that in the very front, maybe through the front door, there's a hose that's bringing a flow of income to your house. That hose could be any size. You know, it could be the refrigerator line size. It could be garden hose. It could be a fire hydrant. It could be any size you want. So just picture that flow that's coming in to the front of where you live. Now I want you to visualize there's another hose coming out the back of your residence. And what size is that hose? Now again, the flow that comes in and goes out is totally controlled by the size of that hose. So when Natalie and I went through this visualization, we realized that what was going out was exactly the same size as what was coming in. And we realized that we felt a need to put it out as fastly as just as fast as it came in. And it wasn't until we had that conversation with our coach that we realized, oh, we actually do want to have some savings. We want to create a beautiful home for our family. And so we need to manage that flow. And so that was a really, really simple but powerful exercise for us. First of all, visualizing more space, and exactly like Tiffany just took us through, getting used to the energy of that flow is, I think, the most important step. Most of us, I think, put this like repulsion energy towards money. You know, we create these judgments. Money is bad, money is evil. People who have money are evil. And so with that energy, why would money ever want to hang out with us? Why would ever want to stick around? It's like, because money is neutral, you know, it's not going to hang out where it's not wanted. And so that's the, yeah, that's the real exercise right there, is just having a really curious conversation with money. Like, hey, let's sit down and have a cup of tea. Tell me more about yourself. You know, like, what can you do? What's possible? And I love how Tiffany models that for us. Just a neutral curiosity. You know, leaning into that dialogue so that you can learn from it. So I know that my journey personally, I started going through lots of personal development, and a lot of it was around money. And there was another fun exercise. We went to this 3-day intensive. I went with Mark Garrett, and one of the required assignments was every participant, and there are thousands of us in this big room, right? Every single person had to bring a $100 bill. That was a requirement. So we walk into that room. We've gone through like a day and a half of training. The trainer says, okay, everybody get out your dollar bill and get in a line. And then he gets out, he has a big like fire bowl, and then he has a lighter. And every single person had to torch their $100 bill. And you guys, you cannot believe the energy in that room. Like the amount of scarcity, people are like looking for an exit, like how can I get out of here? Like, what, how in the world could he have us burn thousands of dollars? Like there's probably 2,000 people in this room, right? Multiply that by 100. We're gonna burn 20 grand in cash and just watch it go up in smoke. Come on. Like the mental chaos in that room was so, I mean, in retrospect, it was comical. In the moment, I was like, oh my gosh. So I want you to take yourself through that mental exercise as well. What would you do if a coach was asking you to take out $100 of your own? This can't be borrowed. This can't be just a fun little neutral exercise. It has to be your $100, and ask you to burn it. How would you respond? And it's an interesting, it's another conversation point in that conversation of what's my relationship with money? Have I gotten to a neutral place? And the point was, Elizabeth is asking, what was the point? The point is money is neutral. But most of us have such a charged relationship with money that we are repelling it. There's no way for money to come and stick around because we have so many projections, so many false ideas, so much negative, just repulsion energy around money that it can't stay. It can't come. And if it does come, it won't stay. So that was the point. I mean, there's a lot to that. I mean, we probably spent the next 2 hours just going into all of the meanings and the projections around that. So we probably don't have enough time to go into all that here. But I mean, Tiffany has given us that book recommendation, Divine Law of Compensation. Seriously, just a gold mine right there. Tony Robbins has a great book on money. I forgot the exact title, but it's his bestseller with money in the title. Gosh, yeah. I mean, it's journaling. It's just let every day be a playground where you're experimenting and you can play. Nobody goes to the playground and gets this like game face, like, okay, how are we going to dominate the playground today? How are we going to create the greatest outcome? No, you just play. And the more we can take that same approach to life, especially the conversation of money, the better we're going to do, the more fun we're going to have in the process, the more curious we can be, the more we can explore the way a child explores, and just create, just create better outcomes. Same thing with sales. Let every sales conversation be a playground. Like, hey, I'm just curious, how can I create massive value today? How can I pour into people and just invest in massive ways into their well-being, their joy, their fulfillment, their purpose. So yeah. Yeah. Everyone's asking if we actually earned it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give away the training. Like if anybody's going to go to the Millionaire Mind Intensive, I'd be robbing from you.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree.
I think that's against one of my core values, to steal. And so I'm not going to tell you how it ended because,
Mhm.
Go to the training if you want, and if you feel like that serves.
I think the important thing is you observe your reaction that
Yep.
you're having as he's saying that, is get curious about your reaction, because technically $100 bill and a $1 bill and a $20 bill, what they all have in common is they're paper and ink.
Mm-hmm.
And we just decided this one means more than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, the potency of that. Can we keep going deeper on this? Ruth, can we keep talking about this since you brought it up? I love our girl Sherry Price said, thank you
Yeah.
for the conversation today. There's two things. Number one, I want all of you, I put this in the chat box, but I want you to all currently weigh in, and there's no right or wrong, but just give us some feedback in the chat box or on Facebook in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 is high and represents stressed. 1 is low and represents calm, peace, and trust. Your own money relationship, where would you currently rate that? And money, or not even, I said money relationship, but thinking about how stressed or how calm have you been about money in, say, the last 3 or 4 days to 7 days, last previous week? Where would you rate that? And again, 10 is high stress. The closer you are to a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 is more calm, more peace, more trust. Where is that coming in for you? Okay, we're getting a wide mix, right? More of you are 5 and above. But just taking a pulse to this, because the thing I want you paying attention to, okay, some of you are very stressed, yep, is you're all in a relationship with money. I think many of you have graduated from the thinking that, and maybe some of you are still dealing with this subconsciously, or it was really present in your home life and upbringing. But I would think that most of us, with how much personal growth and books we've read and podcasts we've listened to and deconstruction we've done, most of you are probably not actively carrying a belief that, say, money is the root of all evil. Is that fair? Like, I think most of us, not all, and it's okay if you're like, no, that still really comes up for me. But all of you, where your bigger point that's out of alignment is you're in worry and fear and stress about money. Would you agree? Isn't that it's like I'm judging it, it's bad, it's evil, it's wrong. But most of you are regularly in a high stress or a heightened stress relationship. And so just like any friendship, if you and I are friends, like, and many of us, like, I've actually met you in person, and some of us, we've even spent a lot of time together. If we are in a friendship and you're regularly telling me, you know what, Tiff, you stress me out. It's just, you're just never enough, never enough. It's, oh my gosh, it's so stressful. I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. You're just not enough, right? Again, exactly what Cindy just said. Yes, the concern, I won't have enough. Not enough, not enough, not enough. Do you think I want to keep calling you and going to lunch and getting pedicures and hanging out with you if you regularly keep telling me how stressed I make you feel and how enough I'm not for you? It's just awareness. So again, on that scale of 1 to 10, which thank you, many of you are participating. I love seeing and just taking this pulse. Not right or wrong, we're just observing in this space together. Because with awareness, we can make new decisions. And so what are some ways you can activate more peace, trust, faith, freedom? Many of you would say, I want financial freedom. Well, start asking yourself, what helps me feel free today? What helps me feel abundant today? Because the opposite of anxiety, we often think is peace, but the opposite of anxiety is trust. And peace is a fruit of trust. Yeah. So it's calming, again, your nervous system. Things are working out for me. Write that down for me in your notes, guys. I'm serious. Don't just hear this and go, oh, yeah, that's nice, and then go on to your next thing. Write some of these things down. Practice them like you're lifting weights every single day. I am perfectly supported. Things are working out for me. I'm acting on promptings and impressions I receive. I show up to add value. If you want to start to change your energetic thermostat, start praying. Who can I serve today, God? Who can I add value to today? Because that is what, when we look at economics and compensation, is a law of exchange of value. Dollars follow value. So be focused on adding the value. I love the affirmation. I follow my promptings and impressions quickly. I mean, for me, one of my very favorite scripture verses in Luke 2, the Christmas story, is where the shepherds have received this light and this information about this birth. And it's the next scripture says, and they came with haste. I love the word haste. They move on action. So as you have promptings, impressions, who am I contacting? What value am I sharing? What am I putting out there? Who can I, lighten their load today? And you get in the flow and the stream of adding value, of service. As Zig Ziglar would say, classic personal development figure for many decades, like in the past, he's since passed, but he would say, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. But often for me, if I'm going to go in a deeper way a little bit here for me spiritually, I recognize however you presence to God, source, universe. But one of the things I've been intentionally studying this last year is with my relationship with God is provision. Provision, he is the great provider. He is the great protector. And there's a worship song I love called Jireh, Jireh. And you'll see in the scriptures sometimes then this title given called Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. And Jehovah Jireh stands for the Lord will provide. The Lord will provide. It's always worked itself out. It's always worked itself out. Now, have there been sometimes in my life seasons where things have been leaner? Yes. Have there been seasons I've had to be more intentional about spending or like Andy was talking about, really getting clear about the hose going back out of your life, and just intentional and like, oh, okay. Yes. But all of you, especially if you're a 5+, which was the majority of you, no wrong. You need to practice calming your nervous system again and again. I'm perfectly supported. God has my back. Universe has my back. You say God, source, universe, Jesus, Buddha. I respect all the ways you connect to your higher power, but your higher power is a provider, is a protector, adores you, loves you, cherishes you. Jehovah Jireh, right? The Lord will provide. And so I think for me, having some deeper spiritual roots really helps me in this capacity. But is in trust, like right now, notice the abundance. You are perfectly provided for. Things are working out. Right? And so for me, like right now, and I'm going on walks every single day and noticing Mother Earth and all the abundance that's here, noticing I have food in the cupboards, I have clean water, and I have access to clean water. Do you realize we're like among the world's wealthiest because we have clean water access? And I can even have hot water, hot clean water, or cold clean water, right? We all most likely slept in a bed last night. We have essential oils, we have tools, you have the brains in your head to think. And again, I many moons ago in my corporate days, I worked for Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he would say, your financial security is not outside of you. It's in your capacity to create. You're all creators, like the great creator. That's why I called my journal the creation journal, is their creation principles, gratitude manifestation, gratitude manifestation. And so all I'm inviting us, I'm so glad we're in this deep and thick and in it nourishing, it's like we're in the waters, the deep waters. We've been talking about water a lot today. But loves, if you're a 5+, practicing trust, practicing faith, practicing allowing things like, okay, things are working out. And the way you get into active faith is serve more. Who am I serving today? Who am I blessing? And we move with haste. When you have promptings and impressions, you move with haste. Is this having resonance? Are any of you in the right training or right space today? Right? Yeah. Steph, you spelled it right. Jehovah Jireh. Or no, Jireh is EH. Jireh. But it's just being aware that it's like you're in relationship with money. And I think that many of you, again, are not in the older mindset that money is the root of all evil and it's bad to have it and this and that. Some of you might still be processing that, and that's okay. But more of you, your struggle is you're regularly putting money and worry hand in hand. Money and worry, money and worry, money and worry. And you keep partnering your money life with worry, with fear, with scarcity. And therefore, energetically, money is regularly feeling like this source of stress. And therefore, we're stressed. We want to blame it. We want to da da da. Well, I'm not coming around. If you regularly tell me, Tiff, you're not enough, you stress me out, I'm not hanging out with you. But you're like, hey, I'm good. Thank you. Look at all this abundance. Let me keep serving at it, and all of these things. I know this isn't just a one textbook answer, but hopefully some of the things we've both been sharing today have helped give some awareness, some enlightenment, some space to consider, how do I want to show up in this relationship? How do I want to show up energetically? Am I in faith and trust, or am I in worry and fear? Because they're both potent creative. Do you realize they're both very potent creative influences? Fear is a potent creative influence, and so is faith. So those are some thoughts. Andy, anything else that you want to
As you were
I mean, I
sharing,
didn't know we were coming to church today, but come to
I
church.
know you've been preaching so good. Thank you. As you were talking about, God as provider. I was thinking about the experience of the Israelites. They've been slaves for how many generations? They finally, through miracle after miracle, they're finally liberated. And now they're in the middle of a desert, and there's no water, there's no food, there's no way to grow crops or to hunt for food. Like, there are zero options. So God makes water come out of a rock and makes manna come out of the heavens. So literally every drink, every bite of food is literally straight from heaven. Straight from heaven. Like, there's no denying it. And how do the Israelites respond? They're like, get a little tired of this flavor. Like,
Maybe go back.
it'd sure be nice, to mix this up. Like, really? Manna again? Like, really?
Yeah.
And it's just so telling of human nature, right? Like, literally on a silver platter. And they're like, man, remember the food back in Egypt? Gosh, let's go back. And
Totally.
so I was cracking up as you were sharing, Tiff, because I just, like, this is us. This is our fallen natural man state is like, yeah, it's so, it takes such a conscious effort to see the hand of God, to shift to gratitude daily, moment to moment. And so this is like Tiffany's life's work, right? To help us shift to that mindset and to that space. And so, yeah, it's incredible. I also had a trainer who said, the Bible teaches us that if you cast your bread upon the water, that it'll come back tenfold. Right? This idea that if we choose to have this mindset of abundance, if we put it out there that it will come back, then then it works. Like, we put it out there and it actually comes back. And then you ask the question, and I want to ask each of you, how many of you have that mindset? How many of you truly believe that if I put it out there, that it will come back tenfold? Go ahead and raise of hand, or you could give yourself on a 1 to 10, how much do you believe that's true? That if you cast your bread upon the water, it will come back tenfold.
Yeah. And Andy, why I think this is so important is more than quote mindset. This is why we got into spiritual, and some might say their root chakra, right?
Yeah.
Which is all about security and strength, is everything about trust.
Yeah.
This belief, I am protected, I'm provided for. Things are working out for me. Because loves, they've always worked out for you.
Yeah.
And so I just think it matters, like bigger than mindset is I want you in your root chakra, your full trust. You're like, how do I tap into that more regularly? My root system, really potent. Anyway, continue on with, yeah, if we put it out there, like believe it will come back tenfold.
So those of you who responded with a 10, or any kind of like yes, 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 then if you believe that, then you would flush your bank account the second money hits it. If you literally believe that promise, then there would never be a balance, a positive balance in your bank account. You would be putting it out there. So let me ask you, is that the case? Is that what's happening? Because it's easy on this call, right? We're talking about these pretty ideas and we're talking about these principles, to say, yes, I believe that. But your bank account is the best mirror. It's the best reflection of that question. If you really believe that putting it out there comes back tenfold. So it's a fascinating question. Some of you are like, yeah, my bank account is 0. So I must be living it.
Mm.
So
Well, then you're in the faith zone. You're in the miracle zone.
exactly.
Because you
Yeah.
only need a miracle when you're in the outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, totally.
And
Right.
that's not such a fun space to be. Now I get it in the moment. You're also, it's like, all the feels. But ground your nervous system. Ask yourself what essential oil blends feel like abundance to you. What oils ground you? What oils bring you home, to trust. So one of your assignments for this week, I'd love for you to take on, let me know in the chat box if you're a yes and you're going to take this on, is I want you, again, practicing what we're talking about, practice your affirmations, practice into dropping into the feelings of peace, faith, trust, and so forth. But I'm going to invite you to do something in this week, specifically in the next 24, 48 hours, ideally, that demonstrates abundance for you. So whether that's you buy yourself fresh flowers or even clip some flowers from your garden, bring them in the home, they feel like abundance. Maybe it's deep clean your pantry. Perhaps it's treating yourself to a massage or something that feels like, well, I wouldn't normally do that, if it's not Mother's Day or Father's Day or my birthday, but something that feels like abundance. And it doesn't necessarily need to cost any amount of money. So it might be time, because time for me is our most precious resource. But it's thinking about ways that you're activating the feelings, that's the assignment, of abundance. And so what feels like, we call it an abundance demonstration. What feels like abundance? Are you on board for doing something that is an abundance expander for yourself? Yeah, Jennifer says, oh yes, pull out my joy list. Absolutely. Things that cost money, some that don't, but things that bring you that. The other thing I'm going to invite you to do is for the next 7 days, this will be a perfect primer going into next Wednesday when we're going to do a lot of creation, is whether you have, so this is my journal that has my process that I've done for years in it that I just created last fall. I know several of you have this, but if you have this, awesome. What it is it marries gratitude and manifestation together, basically. And so get practicing in this if you haven't yet been doing that. If you don't have this, no biggie, but practice at least the gratitude portion every day for the next 7 days in your own journal, right? Wherever you capture that, or in your creation journal, is daily practice of tuning in, whether you do it in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, of your gratitudes, because that's another way that you come into more faith, trust, as well as more attractive to abundance. And so those are your 2 assignments. Are you on board? You can do it, right? You're going to do something kind, joyful, feels like joy to you, feels like abundance to you. And you're going to write and capture, literally in writing, gratitudes every day for the next 7 days. We've got a handful of yeses. Can I see more? This is your,
This is on Facebook too.
this is your ticket to come next Wednesday to our creation session as practice. You don't have to do it perfectly, but I'd like you to be intentional about that. Andy, anything you want to add as we wrap up? Miss Ruth, do you want to check back in with us as we wrap up? I know we've just kind of took your question and went deep with it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for going deep. So many powerful points. It's really been an abundant blessing. I mean, the training has exactly proved your point. We're taken care of, and we have this wonderful information, great coaches, a beautiful community. The discussion itself really, I think, fueled that energy and so many good things to continue to work on. Thank you both.
Hmm. You know, Tiff, maybe we should change the name of this. Instead of the success coaching call, we should call it the Sex and Money Show.
The Sex and Money Show?
Yeah, I think we'd get a few more listeners.
Okay, yeah, I mean, branding's powerful. The title we give things.
What's cool though is like,
Well, sex is creation energy too, so we're just
it
back to
totally is.
activity is
It
all.
totally is. And I just love how money keeps coming up this season, you know, like it really is such a great reflective tool for where are my values? What is my energy? What am I sending out to the universe? And I think that's what that verse in Ecclesiastes means, you know, to cast your bread upon the water.
Mhm.
Is it saying, what's the energy that you're bringing to every relationship? Are you bringing generosity? Are you bringing grace? Are you bringing an outflow of energy? Because if so, of course it will come back to you tenfold. This is
Mhm.
why Natalie and I invest so heavily in our doTERRA team, because literally every dollar that we cast into the sea of doTERRA has come back tenfold. We have never, I mean, sure, we've had projects that have gone south. We've had builders who have dropped out that we've invested in. But if I were to track every dollar in for every dollar out, at least tenfold, at least. So yes, be generous with your sampling, be generous with your teaching, with your reach outs, be with your inviting. To me, this scripture just, you know, speaks volumes to the way the universe was designed. If you're generous with it, it'll be generous with you. Just like we talked about with Mother Earth. If we're good to it, it'll always be good to us.
So good, you guys. So powerful. We just cheer you on. We're so grateful you're part of this community and all the things that we're doing is yes, 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 and yes.
Hmm.
My friend, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and a great rest of your week. And April, we'll see you guys next Wednesday, May 1st.
See you.